I had the orientation off on the last stream, so I don't know if it's going to allow me to stream from a horizontal orientation. Let's see. No, we don't want a green screen. Oh no. Okay. Am I streaming or am I not streaming? That's the question. Oh no. Aha! There's someone there. Okay. Sorry about the last stream. Evidently, I was in the wrong orientation. While I can't figure out how to navigate this phone well enough to give us the proper orientation, I thought I could go back through, give another overview. At least you aren't going to have to turn your head sideways. And we'd take a look at some of these artifacts again. So, and I already put them away once and have broken them back out again. So we'll try this again for anybody who's tuning in and wants to see it in the proper orientation. So, having a look at some of my artifacts before I box them up to move to Virginia. And I thought I'd go through and show them to you. So, if anybody has any questions, just leave them in the chat. Maybe I can see it, maybe I can't. If anybody wants to leave something in the chat, so I'll know if you can see, if I can see this chat. But we'll start in here again and do a quick overview once more of these artifacts. So we'll start with this one this time. This is a officer's sword belt plate. This is a Yankee piece. I found it in Virginia. Really a lot of detail left on that piece. You can see the tongue here has a number on it, and that corresponds with its keeper over here. This little tongue slides into the slot here on the keeper, and those two stick together. So pretty neat piece there. This is a very, very 8-up Union Eagle breastplate. You can see the back of it's all but gone. Nice ginseng jar lid from a Civil War camp in Greene County, Tennessee. This is a bayonet down here from the Atlanta campaign. Found that one in the water. An officer's shoulder scale or epaulette. This would have went on their shoulder, and there's several pieces missing from this one, but that's from a big camp in Kentucky. Here we have a keg tap, kind of a common find at Colonial sites. This is a bayonet scabbard hook. This would have went on the scabbard. It's a real nice Confederate sword handguard that has the Virginia state seal on it, so that's pretty neat. It's more of like a ceremonial sword, but still neat, and I found that down as part of the Atlanta campaign in a Confederate retreat route. This piece was given to me by my buddy Mark Holbrook up in Boston. He's since passed away. Was a really great guy. Has a soldier's name carved in it. Pretty cool piece. A U.S. bit boss from the American Civil War. Here we have a percussion fuse from a Hotchkiss artillery shell, which is one of these shells over here. This would have gone down in here like this, screwed in, and then when it hit the ground, there was a little percussion cap up here that would have depressed and would have caused the shell to explode. Now, these Hotchkisses actually had a base cup, which I'm not seeing any. Oh, here's a base cup right here. So this would have been on the bottom of the Hotchkiss shell, like this. And there would have been a piece of lead that went through here and connected. If you notice, there's a groove here and there's a groove here. The lead would have bound these two pieces of iron together, and the bursting charge for this shell is actually down here in the bottom part of this cavity. And the way these worked was when the cannon fired, it would compress this bottom piece further up, and it would mash that lead out and make it wider than the shell. And then it would take the rifling of the cannon tube so that this shell would come out spinning through the air, and they'd get more distance and accuracy. A couple different size Hotchkiss shells there sitting next to each other. Nice Confederate Borman. Here's a piece we looked at a minute ago, a curry comb. This was for brushing your horses. Everything's getting so dusty in here. I need to dust it off before I pack it up for Virginia. Got a brass 6-pounder. Solid shot Confederate 6-pounder. Solid shot 12. That's part from a nose part off of a World War II artillery shell. And you can see the really neat kind of timing fuse here on the top of it that could be set to different times. That one's pretty neat. I found that down in Chattanooga. Evidently, Chickamauga was a site where they did lots of military training. Hey, JD, how you doing? Good to see you, man. I'm glad to see some chat and that people can hear me. I tried to stream this a little while ago, and I had the orientation wrong, and so I just decided to do it over again. Why not? I'm packing up some relics and trying to get everything ready to go to Virginia. Trying to motivate my mind to work harder on the new house. So anyway, moving on. This one's kind of neat. A lot of people don't see this one in my collection. It's a giant mortar ball. You can kind of see there's little tabs right here and here where they had big tongs to pick these up and drop them into the mortar. I believe, if I remember correctly, that's an 8-inch mortar. That one was found in the Cumberland Gap, so kind of neat. I'm not sure if that one would be Confederate or Union, but it's pretty cool that they had such a big gun there in Cumberland Gap. This is actually a mill ball that was found here local, but it looks a lot like a cannonball, and I'm going to clean it up and put it in the collection just to show people the difference in cannonballs and mill balls and how similar they can look. So nice Borman shell came out of the river. The Borman is mostly gone from there. The center's eaten out, and I was showing people earlier. Where did that underplug go? Here it is. Here's a underplug for a Civil War artillery shell. And this would have screwed in under the time fuse. And you can see down in there, this little hole right here is actually the portion of the underplug that's underneath of that Borman time fuse. So I found this because my buddy Keith told me to go back to a spot. Let's carry on in this case while we're here. This is a neat set of bone-handled Colonial era silverware that was given to me by my friend Bob Milburn up in Massachusetts. And I've eaten one meal with that stuff, or with the fork. I didn't use the butter knife because, well, I just didn't. And it was a lot easier to clean the fork than this knife would have been. This was a piece we talked about a few minutes ago, kind of interesting. It says USS Maine. I am not sure what that is or what it's about. But if anybody has any idea, I'd love to know. That's just a $50 from the year I was born. Neat little badge that I thought was a hat badge, Civil War hat badge, but if you can see, it's a Dick Tracy badge. So a bit of a letdown, but still kind of a neat piece. They don't make toys like they used to, I guess. That was a cool badge for some kid. I'm sure he loved having that. There's a fuse adapter for a parrot shell. This would have screwed into the top of one of these parrot shells like this and would have accepted a paper time fuse. So you would have slid a paper fuse into there and it would have lit when the artillery shell fired. Nice GMA hat badge. That's a school that's no longer no longer in existence. Pair of lead knuckles from Soldier. Found that in a river one day. I believe I have that on film. I was really happy to find those. I'd always kind of wanted to find some. This is a neat World War II soldier's bracelet that he made, and I know he made it because my grandfather made one like it and wrote letters home about making them. But this one is for William L. Puller, U.S. Navy Reserve -A, which stands for auxiliary, and it has his service number on there as well. And as I said earlier, I tried to find his family, but wasn't able to. But still a very neat piece. I would love to get that back to his family if I ever find them. Here is a paper time fuse adapter and the shorter Confederate version of that, which would have screwed into a 12-pound ball just like this here. Bada bing. And I'm sorry if you guys already witnessed some of this. Hello from Richmond, Kay Hansen, AJD, Jim. Good to see you guys. I've still got the black powder I sent you. Hey, that's cool, Jim. We've been burning some of that. Me and my buddy Kevin have been burning some. I got him a cannon for helping me with the house. A little, like, scaled cannon. We've been firing that. So, well, he's been firing it. I haven't been down to see it yet. Here's 3 U.S. buckles. These are just from various places. This is a land find from right outside Fredericksburg, Virginia. This one was from Chattanooga, a land find from Chattanooga. The arrow hooks on that one. And then you can see this is a water find from down around Atlanta. And this one has the puppy paw hooks on the back. So different varieties. And I suppose that's why I had them out here in the case, just because they were different varieties. This one is also a puppy paw, but is very ate up. Here's some Native American artifacts from right here in the Nolichucky Valley where I live. They have continuously occupied this valley for over 10,000 years, so kind of neat to have some artifacts from them. There's a celt from them. Clip corner, portion of a clip corner. Some nice Colonial keys and locks. There's the promises that were made and broken in my life. There is a officer's shoulder insignia. Or collar insignia. It's German silver. Has a screw-on disc. I found this on a battlefield here in East Tennessee. And it's really hard to see, but there's a name scratched in the back. And I've never been able to make out what it says. There's like a big A and you'll never see it on this, I'm sure, but it is indeed scratched right there in the back. Never been able to figure it out. Another neat piece we looked at a few minutes ago is this piece of Civil War artillery shell with the concretization still here with it. I just kind of left that to show how thick the concretizations can become on these Civil War artillery shells. Crodal bell, that's Colonial era, I would assume, by the patterning on it. Pretty neat that it still rings. This is a flame or a bleeder. They would have used these to bleed people. They thought at the time that you could bleed the sickness out of yourself. So that's pretty neat. It has a maker's mark on it. And you could replace the blades inside of there. So that's a neat artifact from a Civil War battlefield. Looks like a cabin boy. This guy? Yeah, maybe so. It's always kind of confused me. Cast eye button, don't know why it's in here. Another cast eye button that I just left in the red Georgia clay where I found it. Just left it embedded there because I think that's kind of neat. Vampire killer. Found that on top of Lookout Mountain at a private house. Couple Colonial era bridle bosses, bit bosses. They went on the side of a horse's bit that went in his mouth. Those are kind of neat. Carved Civil War bullets. Always neat. My Eagle Scout Award. Trying to think of what else to show you guys in there. Let's see. Let's move over here. Here we've got a bunch of different coins of U.S. denominations. We got the seated Liberty dimes. We got Mercury stuff. I believe this is going to be a half dime, U.S. half dime, U.S. 10 cent or 2 cent, seated Liberty dime. That one is a trime, I think. Yeah, it's got to be a trime. Spanish real with a hole in it. There's a Spanish 8 real that's been cut. And I found this in a Confederate camp. These two pieces are of the same coin. I'm trying to get it where we can see it there. Same coin, 1795. Yeah, I believe that's a 1795. Those were in the same hole. I believe there was some Confederates sitting there gambling. There was a cast eye button right next to them and a carved bullet that had been carved into a chess piece. So kind of feel like they were there gambling. There's a large cent with a hole through it. A lot of people used to nail those above their doorways. Another large cent. Virginia halfpenny, upside down. Most of these appear to be upside down. I think I turned this upside down, but there's another halfpenny. A Spanish cob. This is a Civil War token of some variety. Seated Liberty. These are pistarines, cut coins, Spanish silver. There's a US 5C. That's a real small, tiny coin. Another cob. Another large cent. Another large cent. Flying Eagle cent. Some Asian money. A very, very early 1700s Masonic button that was found in Greene County, Tennessee. Some more seateds, some Indian heads, silver inscribed discs. One of Zeus's toenails, my old dog Zeus. I don't know why I kept a hold of that. Yeah, just some coins. I'm not much of a coin guy, but there's some coins out of thousands I've found. Some neat Tennessee tobacco tags, tax tags, Westover tobacco, Tennessee leaf, JW Trents, JW Trents, some watch fob type things, some miner tags. That's from the Black Diamond Mining Company. You can see the punches in the tag where they had brought out loads of coal. The old unsexed female tag from 1932, which everybody needs one. R&W long pole tobacco, sun-cured tobacco. Just kind of neat local artifacts, you know, Tennessee-style artifacts. There's a nice trigger guard, very dusty case. But I found that, I was hunting with my buddy Lamar in the water. And if you guys know Lamar, he only has one arm. I took him out kayaking that day, so you guys can picture how our day went. We got out in the water, and he paddled around in a few circles and looked at me and said, "Chris, why did you bring a one-armed man kayaking?" So I spent the rest of the day dragging him around the creek. A lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Here's a nice tip of a sword scabbard. This was found, I was out with my buddy Zach Bird. I keep wanting to turn this camera sideways, but that's how I screwed up last time. So that's neat. The tip of a sword would have slid into that scabbard. There's the old powder keg, and of course there's a bunch of stuff down in the case below that we won't get to today. Here's a whole bunch of buttons. Police department, railroads, transportation companies, postal companies, military buttons. Some of these are state buttons, state seals. We've got black jet glass buttons, which are evidently a collector's item. I didn't know. Some of these are actually really ornate. Tortoise shell buttons, ball buttons. I can't make out what those are, but we got military buttons, Navy buttons, World War One buttons. These are all from one location, and in fact, all of these buttons were from one day of hunting. You guys can go back and find those videos called the Button Mines here on the channel. So pretty neat. Hi, Dixieland History. Good to see you guys. Hello, Ray. Good to see everybody in here. I'm glad to have the 13 of us who are hanging out, having a look at my relics before I pack them up. This is some local Tennessee artifacts from a military institute. It's since closed, but I had the good luck to hunt over there and found some Civil War stuff around that area too. But it's really trashed up, hard to hunt. I think JD went there with me one day, come to think of it. And some Colonial buckles of various types. This is the type of artifacts I find all over where I'm moving. Lots of Colonial Civil War stuff. We featured this in the last little live thing, but this is the largest coin I've ever gotten. It is a Russian kopeck from 1790 or 1772. And it is a massive coin. I mean, it's thick. That's almost a 1/4 inch thick. Really wild to see such a big coin. Lots of Colonial little shoe buckles, a Colonial wax matrix seal. This one means a lot to me because it's the seal is associated to a buddy of mine's family in Gloucester, Virginia, where I grew up. And he's a guy that I relic hunted with, and he's passed away. But that seal in the county goes back to his family, which is kind of neat. So, and I had found that actually the first hunt I hunted there without him. So it meant a lot to me. I made a little wax impression of the seal, which you can't really see here, but there it is. And we have the musician's buckle, which is really nice. And musician's buttons that were gifted to me by my good friend Anita Jackson. Those meant a lot to me. And, you know, somebody gifting you a belt plate's a pretty nice artifact for sure to be gifted. Speaking of gifts, this is a spur that my buddy Jeff Bailey found on Christmas Eve, and we were hunting, and he called me over to the hole and said, "You see that?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's a spur." And he reached in the hole and pulled it out and said, "Merry Christmas." So really, really a nice and gracious gift of him to give me that. So, and this is a horse bit. Thanks for inviting Cliff. Cliff's a great guy. Hope to see him. This is a horse bit boss from a colonial era house from one of the founders of Tennessee. It was a John Sevier home site. And John Sevier, if you don't know about him, if you ever heard of Sevierville or down around Pigeon Forge, he was the first governor of the state of Tennessee and the first and only governor of the state of Franklin, which existed for a very small amount of time. And a lot of people don't realize that there was a state called Franklin. But in fact, this is from one of his home sites, John Sevier's home sites down along the Nolichucky River. Thanks, Jim. I'm glad you hung on to that. I don't know if it's still hanging on to the key ring or not, but it was a fun project trying to make those big wooden bullets. Hi, Scott. Thanks for stopping in. We're just kind of going through some of my collection I'm packing up trying to get this stuff packed up. There's so many loose artifacts here in the house, and I'll just quickly go into the hall here to show you kind of like some of the backlog of stuff that I'm dealing with around here. There's just artifacts, literally boxes and boxes of artifacts that I need to go through and get put away. Um, it's endless, all of the artifacts around here to go through. So we could sit and look through this collection for days and days. This is also from that John Sevier home site. It was kind of neat. I don't know if you guys can see that. Some sort of little container or jar, and it still had some enamel paint, Colonial enamel paint around it. And this butter knife blade was from the John Sevier home site area. Buddy of mine owned a property over there where Sevier had a home site, so it's kind of neat. But yeah, there's just endless relics here that I've got to go through, get put away, and sorted. So I just thought we'd take a minute and look through some of this stuff. These are some gifts that subscribers have sent me over the years. Really nice of them. Artifacts from East Tennessee, Civil War camps, water hunts, and yeah, big boxes full of bullets and stuff I found. So anyhow, I just wanted to touch base with you guys, get my orientation straight. We tried to do the last live, and evidently the orientation was way off. But I'm just here enjoying the day with the dogs. Come on, Pickles. Let's go, General Pickett. Let's go out in the yard and show everybody East Tennessee today. I wonder if the bears are out. We've had several bears lately. But I'll show you my beautiful situation here in East Tennessee. The orchard here, about right off my back porch. There's 25 apple trees that get frequented by bears. This tree has had a mama bear and her 2 cubs that are about the size of shoe boxes the last couple nights. And if you see my roll of fence back there, I had actually fenced those apple trees in, which Confucius say, man who fence apple trees has only created bear trap. So do not create a bear trap and fence your apple trees in. I had to take that fence down. But anyway, beautiful day in the life here in East Tennessee. I hope you guys are having a great day in the life. Hope you enjoyed having a quick look at some of the collection as I'm putting it away. Have I ever searched in Kentucky? Yes, absolutely. And in fact, I may not have pointed it out on this live stream, but one of my favorite artifacts I ever found, I found with General Pickett. And it is this heart-shaped martingale plate. You can still see the leather safe. This went on a horse's chest and was part of the saddle equipage. And this would have connected the straps that came down over the horse's shoulders like this to one that went up through the center of his chest down through this way and kind of held the whole assembly around the horse. So yeah, done some hunting in Kentucky. This is another artifact that we might not have looked at on this stream. This is if you go back to the very first video on this channel, you will see me find this eagle breastplate with all the gilt on it. And I had just gotten back from Kentucky. I was on my way back and driving through a campsite in Tennessee, and I was like, hey, there's a creek running through there. I'm going to stop and check it out. And this was laying there face down like this in the creek. And when I first picked it up, I thought it was a Coke can lid. But you can see on the back there, there's the wood or the maker's mark. I'm struggling to remember what the maker's name was. Let me see if I can get a better view over here. No, I still don't remember what the maker's name is, but you can see it imprinted there along with some scratches. But this was the very first artifact ever found on this channel. Very first video of this channel was me finding this in the creek. That's what kicked it off. So, anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to box this all up again. I'd finished the last stream and boxed it all up and put it away, and then I realized that I'd streamed sideways and was like, oh no, why did you do that? But I did, and so I'm just making it up to you guys here. Hopefully it makes it up to you. So with that, that's a quick look at a little portion of the collection. I hope you enjoyed having a look at it. And we'll do some more of this as I'm packing up other relics in the collection and getting them packed up. I'd like to do a video soon about the different varieties of Confederate cannonballs. We see we got some here with the time fuse, paper time fuse adapter, and this one I believe has a side plug. We've got the Bormans. I've got a Confederate hand grenade there, some that don't have the fuse in it but have the shrapnel inside. So just a neat array of stuff I want to take some time and look at a little bit more in depth with you guys when we have more time to do it. But for now, I think I'm going to wrap it up and say thank you to you guys for hanging out for a few minutes. I'm sorry I don't have a regular Civil War diary prepared today, but like I said, I've just been working on the house, and it's a 7-hour drive up there, and between trying to build a house yourself and keep a job and keep your head above water, it's really a challenge. I'm trying to build the house all cash as we go, and just a big challenge, a lot of work, a lot of learning how to do things I don't know how to do. I don't know how to build a house, but I'm building one. So, all right, with that, the general and I are going to sign off. He is on leave for the evening, and he wishes you guys a great day in the life, as do I. Really appreciate you guys stopping in. Jim, Dixieland, Scott, Ray, everybody who stopped in. Ray, Fresh Princess, I appreciate all you guys. D. Michaels. Let's see. Before I go, I'm going to double check if there's any questions. I don't see any other than the Kentucky question. So me and Mr. Pickett are going to go, yeah, get yourself a moon pie from the Chattanooga Bakery. Another thing, fun fact about the BirdDogg, I wrote the moon pie jingle. You can look it up on YouTube. Things you wouldn't know about the BirdDogg. How did you get your artillery so black? Well, when I clean it, it typically comes out pretty black out of electrolysis. That's pretty much just the color they end up after I've cleaned them and boiled them and leached them. And then a lot of them I'll treat with, I'll soak them in boiling hot wax. I'll do the hot wax treatment on some of them. Although recently I have really been enjoying using brie wax, I believe it is. Let me switch this around here. See what I can find. I've got a can of it right here. And this is really, if I had to recommend a treatment to someone, this is probably it. I would do electrolysis, and then you can take your piece and you put it in the oven, and you just get it up to like maybe 100 degrees, and then you paint this brie wax. Now you have to get the ebony. Notice it says ebony down there on the bottom. You have to get the ebony brie wax, and it brushes on. You brush it on really, really thin, and it's great. I mean, I really like this stuff, and it's becoming more and more my preferred treatment for smaller, more delicate iron pieces. I still kind of like to hot wax my cannonballs, but that brie wax is great stuff, especially for getting stuff black. I mean, it'll really blacken. Like if you see these little calipers and this maple sap tool, that's for getting maple syrup God, I want to turn the camera sideways. That's for getting maple syrup out of a tree. It's a tap. That got nice and black. And, you know, you can also see a lot of how good a cannonball is going to look is going to be determined by the condition of it when you get it out of the ground. I mean, this one, a lot of the iron is leached out of it. It's really bad condition, that little hand grenade. But something like this looks almost as good as, you know, the day that it was made. So a lot of that's going to depend on the condition of the water or the soil where you got the piece. So you're doing electrolysis on your first 2.6 Hotchkiss and was going to do wax. Maybe I'll do the wax instead. The brie wax, or the brie wax. That stuff's great. I can't recommend it enough. I mean, it's really simple. It's definitely a lot safer than the boiling wax treatment, and you're done with it pretty quick. So I hope that might help you. The one thing I will say about the brie wax and caution you about is it takes very, very little of it. And you have to seal that can back up. You'll open it up and like get you like a teaspoon out, or just like a quarter of a teaspoon, and then close the container immediately, because the way it works, it's like an acetone base or something in there that boils off at a super low temperature. And so that's why you get the shell up to like 100 degrees or something. And as soon as you put it on there, it'll start melting that stuff down to just like liquid, almost like water. And you're going to want to put a real thin coat. So I would just caution you to start very thin with those coats. So good luck. And if you have any questions, just shoot them out and I'll try and help you out. But with that, I'm going to wrap it up. This has gone longer than I thought now, and I need to get back to work. I've been working through the evening editing videos for the company I work for, just trying to stay afloat and pay for this house. So appreciate you guys so very much. Sorry we didn't get full-length videos today, but life happens, and I got to keep this house project moving. So for now, hope you have a great day in the life. Signing off from here in East Tennessee. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for stopping in. Eric, Dixieland, Jim, everybody. Appreciate you guys so much. Great day in the life. See you next time.